Today on Switch to Linux, we want to talk about AI, YouTube moderation, and I don't know, the future of all this. We'll go ahead and have a talk about this. Thanks for checking out this video by Switch to Linux. If you like this type of content, leave us a like and a comment down below and subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. And I want to cover an article from Its Foss today looking at YouTube's AI is breaking the creator ecosystem. And I had some other thoughts about it before we get into it. Of course, AI itself, I have been very critical of AI for very good reasons. And AI itself, it can be used as an appropriate tool. The problem is that it is, in many cases right now, empowering scammers and spammers more than any real legitimate uses. I'd have a hard time taking something with AI and presenting it as solid work as it is. Unfortunately, many people are doing just that. And I have been experimenting around with some AI models a little bit on the background. Some of it is some of my clients need SEO, and I can either put together an article for them, or they can hire somebody else who uses the same AI. And at least with myself in the middle, I know that I have to rewrite a lot of the things it does because AI doesn't do as good of a job as many people might think, as you might expect from seeing a whole bunch of AI slop going out to every far corner of the internet. And I will be talking a little bit more about what I've been experimenting with, utilizing a paid service, which I will not be doing again because it's becoming crapified like everything else, into running my own local models on a system and just kind of basically talking to what amounts to be an idiot who can do simple monkey tasks. That really is been my experience with AI. But you can't even trust it on everything. In fact, one of the examples I'll talk about when I get to that video is I was asking it about, is it better to stay in this city or that city, or going to a different city with relation to where will I get better solar panel efficiency? And that was an interesting question because between the two cities, the one city, it says, well, as a coastal town, you get a lot better solar efficiency. Well, you don't necessarily get better solar efficiency because you're on the coast of an ocean. In fact, oftentimes you get worse because if you've ever traveled on the coast of the ocean, it tends to be foggier on the coast of the ocean versus in the middle of the desert. But that one city wasn't even on an ocean coast. Okay. And I had to correct it. And then the thing, because many of these AIs wants to be overly polite and tell you what you want to hear, it then proceeds to gush out, oh, I am so sorry, you're so right. It's like, okay, this is a basic question of geography. That is something the AI should get right every time. But then there were many other issues, and when I pointed out the one major thing that it missed, talking about the angle of the sun across a different latitude on the Earth, the thing, once again, oh, you're so right, I didn't consider that. Why not? The angle of the sun is important. You'd think that the AI would be able to figure out the angle of the sun is dependent upon the latitude on the Earth. I'll talk about that in more detail, but the point being is that the AI is not all intelligent, and the AI cannot do as good of a job as one may think, and the more bad training the AI has, the more the worse it gets. And what we see then is there's been some discussion about, as the world becomes more AI slop, AI is going to feed on itself and becomes as inbred as some of those jokes we hear about mountain people, marrying their cousins and whatnot. Well, what happens when all of the data being slopped up in the more recent models is half slopping up data for more AI slop? You will have AI slop training AI slop, and you're going to have this giant bubble of information that's going to pop, and it's going to become kind of interesting because it will become basically will denigrate our entire society into the realm of idiocracy. And the reason for this is because we can't even get books anymore, physical books written by people that are knowledgeable, because of how much AI slop is coming out into physical print media with KDP and other things like that. So we'll have to start questioning the authenticity of the source. And then, of course, as we talked about in our video yesterday with cloudy of a chance of data loss, even the experts are called into question as a major Apple evangelist has all of his accounts locked. Okay, even though he might be one of the most credible resources on some of the programming languages inside of Apple. Go figure, right? And it's very possible that banning happened because of AI, and we're seeing a lot of content moderation because of AI. But as the AI trains itself on its own data sets, which we know is happening, they're going to get crazier and crazier. And this is kind of where I want to introduce the article. And this was an excellent article here. And it really is the launching point that they used here is actually talking about the Windows 11 tutorials that happen. The first is just, basically, I've been trying to desocialize my media, whatever else. I encourage you to read the whole article. It's excellent. But here they report back in late October, like October 31st, Ars Technica was at that time published the article. And I think we talked about it briefly as well, about a popular YouTube tutorial person showed you how to set up Windows 11 without having the internet connection and the online accounts. And of course, this video gets taken down as dangerous and harmful content. And I can completely relate because I have had tutorials on my channel taken down for dangerous or harmful content. What was the horrible, dangerous content I did? I showed you how to use the application called Kodi, which I will point out is able to be downloaded from the Google Play Store on your Android device and from the Apple Store on your iPhones, whether you're doing tablets or phones. And while there are possible ways to do illegal things with that application, I in no way told anybody even remotely close how to do any of those things, nor would I, nor do I even do that. I am not a person that has bought into that fun tagline that says if purchasing isn't owning, piracy isn't theft, or whatever that slogan is. I can sympathize with the view, and I'm not going to push against it a lot. They're over there doing their thing, and that's okay with me because I think they have a couple valid points. I live my life on the conduct that says I must obey appropriate law where it doesn't conflict with the Bible. Okay. And so I will look at these factors and I will push back and say we need to reevaluate the laws that makes these things happen. But at the same time, I buy physical media. But even the videos that were taken down, I wasn't even showing you any of that, because there's also questions in that law. Literally, my Kodi videos talked about how to install themes from the official Kodi store, and how to install extensions from the official Kodi store, and how to attach local media servers to your official Kodi application. All perfectly safe, perfectly legal, fairly simple things. In fact, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. If you have problems on Kodi and you want to reach out to them on the form, you are required to provide a list of all of the extensions you have installed, and they will not help you if you have any unauthorized extensions. Now, we can debate whether that is a good or bad thing or not, but the point is I've had numerous videos taken down under this same dangerous and hurtful content policy before for doing perfectly legal tutorials on software that Google makes available to be downloaded on your Android device. It doesn't make sense. And so I can completely understand this, and we risk any tutorial, particularly the tutorials that teach you how to do free and open source things. And we're not talking free as in stealing. We're talking free as in available to download from GitHub. They are 100% legal, 100% above board. They just teach you how to live an alternative lifestyle to having everything synced to these big tech companies' servers, because we see from the gentleman from Apple who lost all of his stuff. 6 terabytes of photos and work and life and 30 years down the drain. For what? We don't know. And the problem is it looks as though its automation is doing this. And there's been a lot of evidence that automation is doing this, even though YouTube denies automation is doing this. So YouTube is most likely lying here. And the other thing that actually happened right about the time this was happening is a whole bunch of channels, large channels, were all taken down because they were allegedly connected somehow to some Japanese account, which ended up not. And when that got enough publicity, the YouTube reinstated all of those channels, but it made a question: how did this supposed Japanese account that nobody knew what was going on, how would that get tied to all of these big professional channels with a long track record? It just doesn't make sense. Again, they deny automation, but the problem is every time people requested a flag, and I've experienced the same thing. I request a flag. Hey, there's nothing illegal in this video about my best buddy Cody. And then boom, 1 minute later, oh, denied. Like, don't tell me a human moderator watched a 20-minute video in 1 minute and determined that it was dangerous or harmful content. And that's the type of thing that we are talking about. And so one of the reasons I wanted to cover this article is because the individual points that they make are very good. So they claim a combination of automated and human review. Basically, what they're saying is that a human must push a button. Whether this is true or not is up for debate. And honestly, it's going to take somebody actually suing them in an actual civil trial and have actual discovery to see the actual process. But I don't think that YouTube's going to go down that path. If somebody decides to pony up a whole lot of money to hire some lawyers and issue the suit, YouTube is simply going to make a settlement out of court. Because the reason settlements are so big, even when these companies come out, we have settled this, but we do not claim anything wrong. I don't think that should be a condition. They should not be allowed to say we've done nothing wrong if they're going to come to a settlement. The reason they do that is because they do not want to go through the mystical, magical process called discovery, which has to open up the black box that they have worked really hard to keep black. And it doesn't benefit them in any way. It's better for them to let a loud channel go back out there and cause a little bit of denigration because, because of all the AI, we have memories the approximate length of Dory the fish anyway. And so, that really is the problem. And so what they say here is that this combination gives them a high degree of confidence, which sounds reasonable. It's a good talking point. It's a good PR person discussion point, but they say it sounds reasonable until you consider three factors. Number one, the scale compels the automation. It is absolutely impossible for human reviewers to look at this. So I think there needs to be some form of tiering process here. As much as I'm not a huge fan, it would be much better if a young creator could have just as much chance as an older creator. And maybe I'm wrong on this point, and we can talk about the nuances of it. But if we're talking about a massive channel which has been around for a long, long time, there should in no way be automation that makes instant decisions, as seems to be happening. Okay, if you are a large channel, and I think maybe a good cutoff is, are you a full partner in the YouTube partnership program? And if you are, there has to be a human moderator, because there's not as many channels in that as there could be. The second factor is that, of course, the problem with that is you will prevent younger channels from coming up, which I don't like that either. But maybe you need to have some form of automation, give them more strikes, and after a fourth, have a human moderator look at something to see what's going on. There's some discussion for this, but the scale is a big major problem at YouTube. Scale is huge. And because of this, they have to have some form of automation. I understand that. But the problem is when massive channels that they have given up their other jobs to pursue this as a career, when they can be shut off because an AI is a moron, well, that's a problem. So reading from their second bullet point, incentives penalize false negatives more than false positives. So a platform is punished more for letting harmful content slip than for removing legitimate content. And then, of course, we have the political argument back and forth. What is legitimate dangerous content? Because half of our country, maybe it's not that much, but a loud portion of our country declares it's wrong information to have what the other half says that's biological science. And that is another issue. That is another issue. Are we talking about actual dangerous content? Here is how to make a nuclear plutonium bomb out of common household ingredients. Yeah, that should probably not be the internet if it's legitimate, okay? But to sit here and have a loud group try and take down a channel because they say, yeah, people who were born boys are boys, we have a little bit of science and, I don't know, the entirety of human history on our side. That certainly is an issue that we are looking for. Is it really harmful to sit here and debate the process that maybe somebody should be a full adult before they begin any form of changing who they were made to be, or who they were statistically designed to be by the fluences of nature, who knows, whatever else. But the point is that people have different opinions, and if opinions are what causes this harmful things, this is a problem. And then you have the whole concept of false positives and false negatives and penalties like that. So in other words, they are in a better position by taking something safe off the internet than they are by keeping something on the internet that's not safe. And that's kind of what it boils down to. And the third point is that the opaque processes erode trust. So if the creators cannot see the decision path or escalate to a clear human adjudication, the default is fear and self-censorship. And that really is one of the challenges. How many times do we self-censor on the internet because we have to? And that really is a fundamental problem. And so they kind of get into this section here about the AI moderation. In this case here, the modern moderation blends classifiers, large language models, various rules, and other things like that all together. And the point here is that when the appeals are denied at the speed that robots work, people stop caring. And I got to the point where, yeah, unless it's a major thing that could affect the channel being on the internet, I don't appeal to it. If I get a video that gets flagged as demonetized, I don't bother appealing it. If I get copyright, claimed because I included some clip for something that's clearly fair use, I'm not going to bother fighting that crap. I just take it out. And that's, unfortunately, is that resignation, or is that saying, well, let's preserve the a single point of the channel for the larger common good of the channel? And I don't think creators should be forced into that particular position, but we unfortunately are. And that's a problem. And so it does talk here about why it breaks creators. Single strike can kill monetization, and it can scare sponsors. Of course, we don't take sponsors here, so I'm not worried about that. But yeah, I mean, if the channel completely loses all forms of moderation, would I continue to do this? I don't know the answer to that. The thing is, I have multiple streams of income, and I would have to sit down and weigh it. Is it worth it to go back and do it for absolutely nothing, being as that I've taken less projects to build the channel? Or is it something, well, okay, that one didn't pan out, let's just go back and take more projects or do another different shift somewhere? I couldn't tell you the solid answer to that. And frankly, I don't think you can tell me what I should do either, because I have bills to pay too. And if you take a large portion of my income out and say, well, keep doing all that large stuff you've been doing for a long time, just do it for free, we will have a different conversation about that. If we have enough people to sponsor the channel despite not being monetized, hey, we keep going. But these are questions that rattle around in the back of your mind. And then there's guidance contradictions. So YouTube actually has a thing in the basically it's their YouTube or the Google Gemini thing they plug into there, and you can click it to get channel ideas. And it bases it based on what people are searching on the internet. So if more people are trying to search on the internet how to set up a Windows 11 computer without an online account, the AI will actually present that as a topic idea. You take that topic idea, run with it, and then YouTube, despite they're the ones that suggested it, will flag your content. Huh. Interesting. And that's some of the problems, is that the creator tools end up recommending something that their own moderation tools also flag. Because we don't have clarity. And this is where I got into it, so I'm not going to get into it anymore. But appeal fatigue, when it feels automated, people stop appealing the system. And then we just end up avoiding risky topics like, you know, maybe switching to Linux because big tech doesn't like it when you switch to Linux. Come on, every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings, and every time a person switches from big tech to Linux, the big tech companies cringe a little bit more. We lost another one. We lost another one, you know. And then, of course, all this is happening at the backdrop of AI slop. And I do like the fact down here that these massive data centers do use a ton of water. All right, Lake Mead is not drying up because of, the climate change. Lake Mead is drying up because of all the data centers drawing water to cool the system. Okay. And so the fact of the matter is that it does take a ton of power and a ton of water to push out all this AI slop. And this AI slop is the stuff that is being promoted on the channel. So I do like what they have here. Some things YouTube can do and some things that creators can do. So publish a granular policy for tutorials. And this is useful information. I mean, I shouldn't have a video flagged just because I talk about my best buddy Cody. Okay, obviously I should have a video flagged if I'm talking about how to use my best buddy Cody in the pursuit of illegal content procurement. Completely agree with that. And under no circumstance have I ever done that. Yet I still have videos on this channel that have been taken down because we've talked about the basics of how to install a theme and make the theme what you want. How to install a local network share. If I happen to have a pile of movies or music that is legally obtained on my local server that I want to watch from this computer or this phone or this tablet, basic tutorials about doing that should not cause any problems. Now, obviously, if I'm telling you where or how to set up, things for illegal content procurement, completely understand. And we have to have a way to spot those differences. They say you need to add genuine human escalation for appeals with creator visible audit trails. So we have to see maybe the name of the person, the timestamps, the exact point of the video that caused the problems, the specific citation, so that we can rebuild trust. Because they don't give you that. They say, it's bad. Well, how was it bad? It was just bad. Okay. All right, so we need to separate dangerous acts from software configuration. That goes without saying, but yes, telling you how to install a theme on an app you've downloaded to your Android device should not be considered a dangerous act. I mean, maybe the fact it's an Android device, that you're using an Android device inside their ecosystem, there's the dangerous act. All right. And then, of course, align creator tool recommendations with enforcement. Yeah, so the tool says, hey, do a video on this. It's rip-roaring right now. Don't flag that content later because that has been happening. As far as what should creators do, first one's just about documentation. The second one, and this is interesting, their recommendation here, mirror your videos on other platforms. Of course, I created the channels on Odyssey, on Rumble, on BitChute. I created those channels and mirrored videos over because YouTube kept on cutting the things back. And if the channel disappears off of YouTube, how many of you will go to Odyssey or Rumble to watch the videos? And one of the reasons I didn't do that for a long time is the fact that I have it available in so many different places makes my channel not grow as fast here on YouTube because there's multiple places for you to watch it. I will say also, BitChute, something broke in their connection sync. I've been in communication with them over at BitChute to see if we can get that back. We'll see what happens. Hey, BitChute is now sharing revenue now from their ads. I made 20 cents over the last 3 months on BitChute, guys. I mean, I can pay my bills with 20 cents. I think it's 23 cents, if I'm correct. I don't know. And then keep a moderation dossier, track removals, timestamps, appeal language. This is, again, just keeping documentation, and avoid loaded phrases. I guess clickbaity type phrases, bypass online account. That sounds like you're doing nefarious things, even though it still requires you to have a software license. Go figure. George Carlin would be mad about this one, right? Install with a local account using supported setup steps. Makes me want to engage in a personal protein spill. Okay. All right. The deeper tension here, of course, there's legal and regulatory issues. And the scale is demands the automation, as we already talked about. And then, of course, there's the Foss angle. So that kind of is what they had to say. And I'm at the same point here. AI is useful when used right. Unfortunately, more often than not these days, it's not specifically used all that right. And that's one of those things I want to keep in mind. So let me know your thoughts about all this down below. Are you concerned your creators are going to go away? And will you follow them onto other platforms if the demand needs? Let me know all that in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.